All set?
Yeah, 28.
Okay, good evening.
Constant feedback.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 6th meeting of the Sewer Commissioners. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First order of business, roll call. Who's here?
Peter Dunlop.
Donna Bronk.
Third order, approval of meeting minutes from 16 May 2019.
I make a motion that we accept them as written.
Second.
I have a motion to accept the minutes of May 16th. Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye. Chairman,
Yes.
may I address?
Absolutely.
All right. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge D-Day, which happened 75 years ago, and thank the men and women that served this country and for everything they've done. We all know the importance of what D-Day happened. It saved our entire civilization. And I'd like to take a minute to just give a moment of silence in memory of everyone that was lost and everyone who has fought.
Moment of silence, please. Very good, Donna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Sewer business, contract, Beta Group. We're right at it, Guy.
So, Mr. Chairman, it's just an extension to get them paid. They had done the comprehensive wastewater management plan, which is planning the next 20 years of sewering, and it tied into the plan to move the outfall. So as an example, up Route 28, trailer parks, and so where's going to be our next phases that we're going to actually put into the plan. So that's what that is. So it expired. So I'd like to extend it so I can get them paid. That's the purpose of the extension.
So they're evaluating that area for sewage.
That and others. They're doing the entire town. So we've got a grid.
Okay, but when they do this now, are they doing it strictly for the traditional sewer system, or are they looking at the pump system?
We're looking at all of it, because on the,
So they
yes,
are evaluating, all right,
absolutely, because on the coastline, we'd like to stay away from traditional if we could.
all right.
Yeah, they're doing the whole, yes, absolutely.
Now, are they going to look at some of the other ones, of some of the other areas? Like, of the three phases, the one we didn't do over at Agawam Beach?
They're looking at Agawam and Mayflower Ridge, I think it was, or Mayflower, that's over by Tremont Nail, which that was part of the Agawam, those two pieces. They're looking at that also. So Agawam was tied into Mayflower by the daycare center up by the Mill Pond Diner. There's a daycare center there. There's a strip there, Mayflower. I don't know if it's Mayflower Ridge or Mayflower Road.
Drive, yeah.
Mayflower Drive. That was part of that with the Agawam. Yes, they're looking at that also, yes. Yeah, and that group of people, for full disclosure, didn't want it at all. They fought hard against it because
They fought hard against it because they were getting screwed on the betterment.
No,
Would eat up all the money.
yes, I don't disagree. Generally, but in that area, they're newer homes, and they said they don't need sewer. They got brand new septics, and that's not, as all we all know that we're not doing it to replace new septics or old septics. It's about nitrogen. That's what it's all about, but
Some of that probably is useless because they have They don't have septic systems, they have no room for septic systems, they have cesspools, and therefore they can't sell the property.
Right, so I just wanted you to understand that part, but it's in the evaluation. It's definitely considered because it's along 28, and we have to pull it in, and to do that, Agawam was attached to it. So contract 3 is, I think, what you're speaking of, that's being evaluated also.
If that's the case, do we have to approve this or just sign it?
We can vote on it if you want.
No, as long as we know.
Any idea, Guy, they give you any kind of a maximum? Have a rough idea what it's gonna cost?
It can be no more than 60,000, it's going to be less than that. The contract maxes out at $60,000. And I don't have with me what's been spent to date, I apologize, but it's maxed out to $60,000. It can't go a penny over without the authorization of the town administrator. It's in the contract.
Okay, that's all set.
Thank you.
The not to exceed clause.
You okay with it, Donna?
Yeah, I make a motion that we,
We just signed it.
what?
Signed
That's
it.
all right, we can make a motion.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. That we sign the,
Motion is made.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done. Sewer Superintendent's report.
Mr. Chairman, in your folder, there is the disposal, long-term disposal sludge contract we have at Synagro that expires at the end of the month. And in that contract, there's a provision for the town to renew. I'd like to exercise that provision. We highlight it in yellow for you. We also supplied a copy of what we spent to date in that sludge contract. And there also should be a letter for Mr. Sullivan speaking of the CPI, and they haven't mentioned any CPI index, so we'd like to renew the contract. Again, Synagro is the facility in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and to haul sludge. In the past, we had haulers, but haulers cannot guarantee delivery, so we have a contract with the actual facility who holds our contract and guarantees our product to be moved. So I'd like to renew this for another year, exercise the option. It's worked out well. It's been timely. We've never had to worry about getting rid of our sludge. And of course, it's not just Wareham's problem, it's a problem throughout the state, actually multi-states, but Massachusetts is facing major issues because there is no place to take the sludge, and we only have 2 incinerators in the area. So I'd like to renew it if I could, with your permission.
per load. What are we paying now per load?
It's $450 per load, $381 dry ton for disposal.
And that's going to be the same price?
It is. We're not changing the price. They have not, there's a rate adjustment of the CPI for year 2. I haven't seen it. When she sent me the letter to renew, we talked about it. She had no CPI adjustment, so at this point, no, there's no increase in the cost. It's $450 and $381. That's what we agreed to.
I don't have a problem. The only issue that I would like to address is there any way that you have like I'm going to use an old word, tickler file for contracts that are coming up that we know that they're coming up before, you know?
We're working on that now.
Okay, because
There has,
I hate that, I like to take time and look at them and look at the old one. And it seems like we're not getting them.
to speak to that, madam, we had a employee that did all this, and we lost her to Mattapoisett. We never replaced her. Her responsibility is more than procurement. It was to follow the contracts. To make sure that the provisions are being adhered to, and to get them out there 8 months before renewal. And so that was her sole job, and she did it well. Since she's left, we have no replacement for it. No one's doing the job, so it's kind of hodgepodge. So we're trying to figure something out. We can get this in a timely manner.
Now, this isn't the facility you told us about that at any point they could shut us off, is it?
No, this is the reason why I do this. They cannot shut us off. Cranston was the facility that we're at their mercy of the hall, and we could just get shut off and we're done.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept this contract.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Guy, you'll have a sheet for us to sign next time, as long as you have it by the end of the month, or you want?
Yes, I can get, because I didn't provide one. I have one. I thought in the packet there should be one.
A sheet, but
Okay, let me look in the packet. You could use the cover sheet, but I can get you another one, it doesn't matter. Whichever's your pleasure.
I think we have it right here, right here. Here's the contract right here.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't see it in the pack,
Oh, yeah, just take one of my,
Take one of the copies and she's out.
there you go. Well, this does say for superintendent's report.
Which one? Mine doesn't say it. I think it's fine. Yeah. Recommended Board of School Commissioners, from Town Council, yeah, so. And this has been approved by Town Council, so we're good. I think we're fine. We'll follow it. Mr. Chairman, on my report, I've got 4 things. I'd like to blow through them for you, not to minimize them. But the first is odors. Today, we emptied the back basin. It's been a nightmare trying to get it emptied. A lot of sludge in the bottom. It kind of went septic. We had some problems with septicity to the plant because of the basin. We have a lot of water coming at us. It's been a real rainy spring, and it's been a struggle to get it down. And so we've got it emptied. We're pretty excited about that. The front basin is 3/4, and we started that immediately. We started a new protocol. The problem that we have to be concerned ourselves with is the permit. The more we push through the plant, we jeopardize the back end. And we've had issues in the back end, and then that affects our permit, and we're in permit season. If we violate permit, then there's fines and things that go with it. So it's a balancing act, but we're pushing as much through as we can. We've succeeded in the front, the back being done. It's washed down. We're bleaching it, taking it offline, and we're working on the front, which is a lot less odorous because it's diluted with a lot of rainwater, because it carried all around. So I just want to give an update on that. We're making tremendous progress. I hope it to go away, so I just wanted you to be aware of that. Can I wait?
you want to proceed?
we'll give her a minute. She hates to miss anything.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Oh, that happens. It's the age of the mobile phones today. It's very,
I couldn't find it in my purse.
it's just the age of today.
What can I say?
So you had a question on the odor.
That's another
Did you
thing.
leave it with the phone?
No, I left it with my age.
Well, when it comes to you, please feel free. We'll get back to it. It's obviously it's something you got in your mind. So I'll continue on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. if
Don't be
you
sorry.
walk back.
Good.
How is the resident, our plant, is that her, that sends the emails all the time? Is somebody dealing with her?
We're doing the very best we can. What happens is it becomes confrontational. It doesn't become productive. But we deal with it. Absolutely, we're dealing with it. We email. We've got a blanket statement out there. We're working at it. We don't ignore anybody. It's our efforts to get it down. We cannot, and we try our hardest, but we cannot predict everything. And there's certain situations that come at us that we're forced to deal with, and it's on the fly. When we get all this water, the plant wasn't designed for the successive flow that we got. That's okay, we deal with it. But in the interim, we have that 1 million gallons or 2 million gallons of capacity for these very extensive events. We utilize them. Because they're open basins, once they're full, they become quite nasty. It's 1 million gallons in the sludge, and it kind of, there's no air in it, and so it kind of goes anaerobic, and we're in trouble.
Are we addressing her? That's all.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, absolutely.
Telling her because, I mean,
We are.
emails are just,
And you should see the text and you should see the phone calls. Those I won't share with you.
but I'm sure they're pretty bad. Well,
But I understand.
No,
I truly mean that. I understand.
well, you live right by there.
I live right, I have the same issues they have.
Yeah.
It's no different. I'm in a butter. Winds, directions, travels all over the place. I get my days, they get theirs. I know what they're going through. I empathize because I myself am going through it. My parents go through it, my mom now, my father's like, we all go through it, so I get it, I truly do. And we try our hardest to mitigate it, but there's sometimes it comes at us so fast, it takes longer than we'd like.
As long as we're communicating, we're not ignoring her. I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I know that you live with it yourself. So I just see and I just don't want to go on record as being a board that doesn't do anything about it.
We don't dismiss them. I don't dismiss them at all. They're not to be dismissed because they have concerns and they need to be addressed, and we're trying our hardest to address them. We don't ignore them. We're pumping like crazy. If you look at the timesheets, the hours have been incredible to get it done, and we're doing our very best.
That's all we can do, Guy, and that's all I ask for. If there's nothing more we can do, I mean.
We're working hard.
That's all
I
right.
didn't mean to.
I don't say too much about it anymore because I know exactly when it's raining.
Oh, I know, but I just
It's
think.
not predictable.
It's just, it isn't.
And
I just don't want her coming across, or anyone coming across, that we're not responsive, or we're not, hey, you know, some things you don't want to hear, some things are what they are, there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm glad that you're getting ahead of it.
We're getting it out. We're really excited about that.
Me too, and I knew
It's huge.
that it was being addressed, but I wanted to make sure that the public knew we were addressing it too.
We're not ignoring it. We're working hard and diligent.
Good.
They deserve that, and we're doing our very best. Pinehurst, the evaluation's almost complete. We know C Street we're addressing. We know that that's sunk. We know that it's a problem. We know we have to address it. We've opened every cover along the beach, rose them all to the surface, and we cleaned from Cottage Street all the way to Ross Street. Today we cleaned Ross to C Street, and we're cammering C Street, and then we're done. We've got some deflections in the pipe. We've got some what they call bellies. It's a ductile iron pipe, and there's these big dips in the pipe, which is caused by the joints. So we believe we can line it and be fine. Once we get all this information, we're going to sit down and review all the tapes and make an evaluation. But at this time, we believe that we definitely need to address C Street, but we believe we can line the rest of it, and we can do that in a timely manner. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. So I'll give you a complete report of the evaluation. We're pretty excited about it. It's better than we thought going in. We knew we had one issue, but it's comforting to know that we don't have 5 issues.
That's good.
So that's a good thing.
Is that a force main?
No, it's a gravity. It's an 8-inch gravity, goes into a 10-inch gravity.
Well,
Ductile iron under the water.
when you have these valleys in it.
So the joints, yes, the joints because ductile iron, that was the question I asked the manufacturer. How do you tell me that the ductile iron can have a belly? It really can't. But the joints shift. And so when the joints shift, it
I
misaligns the
understand
pipe.
that, but what I'm getting at is, if it dips below the size of the pipe, it would become a natural trap.
It does it, because you can see the surcharging. So we're going to line it, let me answer it this way here. It's a 1/10 or maybe 2 inches off when it comes to alignment of the joint. It's not worth digging up the beach to replace that pipe.
So it's not like 10 inches off.
No, that's in C Street. That
Okay.
one is wicked. So that's 18 inches, I believe. And so that we have to address. 18 inches is too much. The manhole surcharged. If the line surcharged a little, then we'll line it, and it becomes a maintenance. Every couple of years, you flush it out, you're good. But it'll be solid, it'll be structurally sound, and that's what's important here. C Street's different. C Street is actually, it's in trouble. Now, it's all ductile. Let me say that the pipe's all scaled. It's got metal chips. I mean, the pipe is old and it's in trouble. So by cleaning it out and lining the pipe, we can get another 75 years out of it and spend less money doing it, and then also repair C Street without digging up the beach, which is going to be a nightmare. If we had to dig up the beach, it's a nightmare. I'm meeting with the residents because the logistics of the repairs in there are going to be complicated because there's one way in and one way out. It's a small street. If I bring a tractor trailer in there, I'm shutting down the neighborhood for whatever time it takes me to get that truck out of there. So the logistics of it's going to be a nightmare. So I'm trying to pre-do that, talk to the neighbors. Maybe they can give us a piece of the land. We don't know, but we're looking for ways to, we got to bring equipment in. You got to park trucks. You got to park machines. The excavator is going to be huge. We're going to walk it down the beach. Very small street. So that's going to be our biggest challenge, and we're trying to figure that out. And so I'm meeting with the neighbors to work through all that.
Could you approach it from the water and work off a barge?
When the tide goes out, there's no water. So it maybe
would
the
still
barge,
be there.
barge will go there. I'll throw that out. I don't know. I'll throw it out there. I really will. I don't know. Because the barge could put the loader on it, they could put the truck, we can load it,
Exactly.
then float it at night, then bring it back in the day. And I don't know the draft, there's not much water there, but actually, absolutely, it's worth looking into. Leave no stone unturned. But it's a shallow inlet. The inlet, that we've tested it for fecal. We've been doing it right along. There's no fecal. We're excited about that, so that's a good thing. But remember, the inlet's shut down to shellfishing because of all the drainage that enters it. So it's a shallow with very little flushing. So a barge may not work, but we'll definitely address it. Definitely address it. Any idea is worth looking into, trust me. So we'll do that, definitely. Lining job is just about done. We're doing manholes now, and they're repairing the first section. They're grinding it out. That's been a long, slow, tedious process to grind, so we can put a new liner in it, and they're still doing that. And I don't know, they're sending another grinder in from California. I can't give you an ETA on that, but we should wrap up the manholes in a few days, and that'll put it to bed, other than that piece. I think it's 600 feet in the front end of the Swiss Beach Road.
No.
Everything else will be done.
What is the piece that's being done Sunday that affects Main Street?
We're doing the manholes in Main Street, Merchants Way, and Sawyer. So all that flow goes back to Merchants Way. Tonight, we're supposed to be in, last I knew, I didn't see any trucks there, but we're supposed to be in Main Street tonight. We're going to bypass and close down Main Street and line it. I mean, the manhole itself, because we're going to do the inverts and all 9 yards. That's why we're going to bypass it.
I
So,
know it went out on the reverse 911, that's why
Yeah.
I was wondering.
yep, we got to do that. So we're letting the folks know that we're going to disrupt Main Street for a bit, because those manholes are very hard to get to with traffic and all that. So, and that'll wrap up the project, other than the front end. So we're pretty excited about that. We're trying to set up a meeting where we can view all the tapes. So operationally, I know you guys got some knowledge in it. You're welcome to sit in that review. We'll sit with the contractor, the liner, the engineers, myself, and we'll look at all the video before we sign off on the completion of the project to make sure it was done. We'll look at the befores and afters, any defects, we'll rate defects if there's any, and then we can make a decision. And I'd like to have one of your commissioners, I'm more than welcome to come. I'll give you dates and we'll see what we can do. At the very least, I can get you the videos. You can watch them at your leisure, but it'd be nice to have somebody there to watch it with us.
Has there been any more discussion about the blockage along Merchants Way?
Which one? You mean the concrete?
Concrete.
We ground it out and we lined it. A lot of hammering went into that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the responsibility of the concrete.
And nothing's been talked about that. That's going to be a town decision. I don't know how it got there. And I got to say, how do we prove how it got there and who did it? We can make some assumptions, but to prove it, I don't see how we're going to ever prove it.
I couldn't agree with you more, but I mean, the assumption is, yeah, either the railroad platform or the fire station. Those are the two constructions that happened there, and that's the area where it ended up.
Absolutely. So, I agree with you. I don't know how to go about it, but it's there. So obviously,
The engineer on their projects.
we can do some research because it was there. It's there. I mean, it cost us time and money to grind that stuff out, so jackhammer it out. So it's there. I don't know how to go about recouping costs, but we can definitely look into it. I don't know.
I can't imagine those guys in that pipe grinding it out.
It was crazy. It was insane. And it's crazy because you think of workmanship, and why would somebody do that thinking that, even if they thought it would go to the wet well, why would you pour concrete? Because they believe it's washing out and getting it out, and it's just...
And what did it cost us in pumps?
There's a long-term cost, and we don't know, and absolutely. It bothers me to think someone would do that. It truly bothers me. It's crazy.
Prove anything.
I believe you're right.
Even if you knew the age of the concrete, you still don't know who did it.
It's hard.
No, you can't prove it at all. That's the problem, but
It's hard. All the leakers that came up because of the water table, when we first cameraed this in October, we saw staining and indications other than deterioration in the rebar. But when we got into it now, the leakers, the joints were leaking like crazy, the manholes were leaking, the shelves. I mean, we poured a ton of grout into it, more than we anticipated, because the high water table, they all manifest, and they all were active leaks. We had to shut down some nights just to get in there and grout it before we can even consider lining it. So we know that when we're done, that we've got a lot of leakers, a lot of water, removed from the system. So that's pretty encouraging, The
thing at the front end, Guy, was that the liner that wasn't the right size? Or?
Right, that's what it is. The wrong size liner, so they cut it up. Now, the liner company, the manufacturer, is on the hook for all that. So
Yeah.
our contract's not changing, and so it becomes the responsibility of the contractor to go chase it. That's his issue. We've got a contract, that's all we're paying, we're not going out, so any of the overruns, he's got to eat, and that's just all there is to it. And so it's between him and the manufacturer. And they've already agreed to that, so we're kind of out of the picture. One thing about this, Garney and Warren, I mean, they're upstanding citizens, and they adhere to their word. And I got to tell you, in today's day and age, it's a true blessing. So we're doing good there.
Once again, where was the engineer? I'm telling you, these engineers are costing us a fortune and we're getting nothing.
Engineers are getting their stamp as liability, and there's something, I get it, I really do, I mean it. There's no one hotter on engineers than myself. When I first got here,
When they saw it going wrong, the engineer should have said, stop.
what the engineer said is what's going on, because they don't understand the process. The contractor's saying, no, we can get this. And so the
But he
engineer.
was already exceeding his limit on steam, on pressure, on everything, time, the whole
And the
shooting match.
engineer lit into him every day. Every day they said, this is wrong, and because he said, this is not what I'm used to. And the manufacturer kept reassuring the engineer, no, we're going to get this, we get this, so he let him go. But the engineer relies on knowledge, and then he relies on the contractor, saying, no, this is good, we can blow it, we can expand it, we'll raise pressure. And so, I mean, I'd like to think they just shut it down, but the contractor.
If the contractor hadn't come home, it wouldn't have got shut down, it wouldn't have got stopped.
If at the wedding site, absolutely. If the individual who owned that company at one time did not do testing at the wet site, the wet outside, we never would have known. It could have been costly, but the beauty is that's what he does, and people don't appreciate his knowledge. His knowledge is profound. I just wish he'd been here in the beginning, because his knowledge is profound. Cranberry Highway, we're moving forward. They're moving poles. They should start dropping them next week. There's a meeting the 12th of this month, and I think there'll be monthly meetings, and the purpose of the meeting is to set a schedule. The irony of contracts is it's a 5-year contract, 5 years worth of work under a 4-year contract. You've got to love the way the state works. So the contractor, who is Landers, is trying to figure out how to do this. They're trying to do it in thirds, and so everything's up in the air. And so these meetings are discussed between the utilities, the power company who's moving the poles, then you've got Verizon, then you've got AT&T, the Comcast and others that use these poles. And so there's a lot of splicing going on, so they're trying to vet out that project and figure out how to do that. Once they get all that squared away, then they'll give us a timeline. And our concern of the timeline is maybe putting a pipe down there for the bypass, and we've got manhole covers we got to get, so we're really concerned about and they also want from us, where our pipes are, which we've done, and they're looking for us to help them with the properties because they're moving poles, and we're not committing to that because we don't do properties, that's private. We'll give them all the help we can, but we're not committing to tell them where it is because that'll be their responsibility to figure it out. If they take something out, we don't want to be held liable for that. So that project is moving forward, and that's where on our part, and I'll go to the meetings, I'll keep you abreast on what's happening with that Cranberry Highway. I think that's all I have. Mine at school is being demoed. We had dropped it to one EDU because now they've actually physically demoed it. I'm going to have them cut and cap the pipe. Once that happens, I'd like your permission to put that account on hold because now there's no water coming out. So I'd like to put that, once they cut and cap it, I want to put it on hold. Because there's no way water, that's why we're going to cut and cap it. What we have to make sure is that when they get the permit to occupy, that we make sure we put them back on when we tie them in. I just can't justify charging me to you for no pipe. I just saying.
Well, the water isn't shut off, it's a violation of policy.
I tell you what, they're getting ready to cut the water. They're actually cutting, because I didn't realize the water comes up from the development there, Brandy Hill, and they're getting ready to cut it. They got to cut it. Yeah. So they're cutting the water too. Andy was up there, they're cutting the water too. So there will be no water. We won't be violating any policy.
Okay.
Good point. We will not be violating the policy. I like the way you think.
Well,
That's right.
Do you need a motion?
It'd be nice to get your permission. I'm going to definitely, I'd like to do it, and it would be nice if I could get your concurrence on that.
I make a motion that we give you the authority to cut the EDU to 0 once the pipe is capped at mine at school.
Second.
Motion's been made. Once the pipe is capped at
Yes.
mine at Forest, that we cease to charge them, put it on hold.
I appreciate it. We'll do that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all I have. Just Jim's out of the hospital. You were telling me it's really a good thing, and maybe next meeting he'll make. Hopefully he can make the next meeting. Look forward to it. But if you're listening, Jim, glad you're getting well.
You'll have to ask.
Okay.
I don't remember. Guys, done. Ellis is up.
I don't have a whole lot this week. I'm working on picking a project to reapply for SRF funding. I'm working with Guy on that. It's possible to get, I hope, a 0% loan to do a next lining project. So that's on the table. It's near the end of the year, so people are coming to me with procurement stuff, and that's been keeping me busy. So
Sure.
a little buried there. Yeah, a lot of procurement going on in the plant too, but the other project I'm working on is working with Bourne Billing and changing our accounting system so there's no future questions. That's been a problem. I'd like to fix it and be done with it. And then if they want to and we want to, we can change the IMA, modernize it from whatever it was, the 1990s or whatever it started.
Is somebody going to make sure that they're adhering to the IM?
Well,
not
there's
talking
two
about that.
parts to that. I would make sure they adhere to the financial part, and Guy would make sure they adhere to the chemistry portions and reading their meters and having the right equipment. A new IMA might have financial incentives to do those sorts of things if we were to start over, but
we had the language in it, but nobody was enforcing it, is my understanding.
Absolutely. And to reward them for doing what they're supposed to do is for me, it's counterproductive or counterintuitive. The language is very blunt, and they just don't do it. So according to DEP, we have the right to enforce it. So I think going forward, we need to enforce it. Because they're tied to us. We spent $380,000 to do an II study. That's their responsibility. So we tighten our pipes up, they don't tighten theirs up. So we're getting that. Same thing with the grease program. We spend money to do our grease, they have no grease program. So we're getting their grease. So all that stuff is unfortunate. One of the most corrosive lines in our entire system is coming from Bourne. The manhole's the most corrosive, the whole line's the most corrosive, and that pump station's the most corrosive. So we all talk about what they're paying. What, in the long term, what they're destroying comes just equally as important. And I understand they pay 18% of the repairs, we eat the rest. So I think that we should make sure they do their part to make sure we don't deteriorate it, because we have to fix it, and we get 18 cents, but we still spend, 72 cents to get that 18 cents. So yes, that has to be enforced.
That's my problem. I want someone to make sure, if we have to fix the corrosion, there's got to be a clause there that we can charge them for.
Madam, I've got to tell you, there is. It says if they're negligent, then they pay the whole thing. If you notice, we charge them for the whole manholes. So if they refuse to do something with the grease, we'll charge them for all the repairs at 100%, and that's in the IMA.
The language is there.
It's in the IMA. It's already there.
And I know it's in there because I saw a lot of
It
things
is.
in the language. I studied that agreement up and down
Yep.
Main Street. But I think that somehow, and I don't know you have the time or whatever, but somebody has to enforce it. And that's my only bone of contention here. We have it, it's in the language, everything is there, but we don't have anybody to enforce it.
I want to say I'm encouraged by the new administration in Bourne, the new selectmen, sewer commissioners, who are looking to grab the bull by the horn and do the right thing and develop a good relationship. And I think we have the beginning of something, if we just keep pushing it along, that we all benefit. It can't just be Bourne's the winner or the Wareham's the winner, but the bottom line is that we have to take equal responsibility to what the IMA spells out for each our responsibility and their responsibility. So I'm hoping, I think that we met with them a couple months ago, and they were pretty excited about moving in the right direction. They like to do the right thing, so I'm hoping that that's a good start to where we need to go, because it's a bigger picture. It isn't just about the dollars and cents and you get a dollar, I get a dollar. It's about upkeep and maintenance and cooperation of the entire system because they contribute to that system. And again, our corrosion report was very adamant. Bourne is the biggest contributor of corrosion to that end of the system, and they're corroding like crazy. We have the DEP involved because the odors are horrendous coming out of that manhole, and you've seen the manhole, and so we're asking them to do their part. If they don't, then it's negligence, because they're aware, we've begged, and that's where I think they need to be hammered for that. But other than that, I like the direction.
What's the status of the IMA at this point?
The IMA is in flux about cost. We haven't billed for this year, and I think that's what they're working on now, is to get a bill out there. We have
But I
yet
mean,
to bill. We have to bill them by the end of the month.
What's the term? Is it about to run out, or is it about to be renewed?
It's close. I think 2020, I think it was supposed to run out. I believe 2020 it expires.
It does.
I believe it does, yes.
I'd have to check, I'm not sure that's right.
So,
all
Guy,
right, well-
the last repair we did down there, how did we make out with Bourne?
We haven't got paid, but we sent them the bill,
How long ago?
Did you send the bill?
yes.
How long ago?
A couple months ago? We sent the bill, but I got to tell you, there's a lot of bills that haven't paid. There's a ton of money that haven't paid. Because the whole thing is in dispute, they're claiming that there's overcharge or whatever. It's a tit for tat, because our accountants, our CPA is saying one thing and they're saying another. Who's right? Again, we know you put 8 lawyers in a room, you get 8 different opinions, that's life. So we have to come to some type of consensus. We feel they owe us a ton of money, they feel we owe them a little money. So that's just the bottom line.
Do we have anything official? Have we requested that maybe they review it and give us a response?
They've reviewed, we reviewed, the town administrators have been going back and forth on this, and they're still in decision-making mode. Nothing's been finalized, nothing's been decided, they're trying to work some
Are you
things out.
speaking to the IMA, or are you speaking to the bill?
Speaking to the IMA, which right now, the billing's the only thing we're talking about. The other part, we haven't even discussed the IMA itself. We're just discussing billing. That's where everything's hung up
Why
on.
don't they pay us? Why do they care? Why aren't we pushing them? I guess that's my
Well,
question.
when I've discussed going directly, because this is my spot now,
Yes, sir.
I've been told that we're working on something and we'll bring you in when they're ready. So,
That's not acceptable.
well, that's what my boss said. So that's what I got. I have been pushing, and he has been working behind the scenes. So their town administrator is apparently leaving. So we want to get something done when we have a known quantity over there.
Working on it is synonymous with kicking the can down the street.
Could be.
You've been kicking that.
We
For a
put
long
up with
time.
that, and you see the shape our sewers are in.
At the first step for me is to get the accounting straight. There simply aren't enough appropriate accounts to make a correct bill. And if you want an example, I'll give you one. We have engineers, and they go into outside contractors. It's one account, outside contractors. Some of them work in the plant, some of them work outside the plant on the collection system, some of them might even work on the collection system between here and Bourne. Why also in there was work on a switch gear the other day, which is absolutely in the IMA. But that account doesn't differentiate. To tell, I'd have to go through 100 bills to figure out what is and what isn't. Simply, the accounts just aren't there. They were there, they were taken out, and they're right to say you can't prove it without going through every single invoice and proving it. You just can't. I've tried. That the information isn't kept right now. First of the year's coming up. If I have to start it on a spreadsheet and then change it, because accounting's attention's hard to get this time of year, but we need to start fresh in the first of the year, and this is IMA, and this isn't, and maybe this category is something we need to discuss a little bit, whether it is or isn't. So, say something that's used in the plant and outside. For instance, the new trash pump. We use it in the plant, we use it in the collection system, we use it in their part of the collection system. Is it in or out? Yeah, we'd have to talk about it a little bit.
2015 and 2016 has been totally analyzed. They broke out every single penny, and it's still in dispute. We have 2015,
There's
2016.
just no way
two
we get-
CPAs, so I don't
We get
know.
almost an inch of invoices every week. It would have cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to go back and rebuild all that with CPAs. We need to start with the accounting, and if the IMA needs to be rewritten, we'll sit down, see what we want out of it, ask them what they want out of it, and rewrite it.
You're looking at that now?
Yep. I'm looking at the accounting part of it now.
The accounting part.
Not the rewrite.
How long has this been an issue? Since we've been sewer commissioners?
Well,
And nothing's been done?
I've been here a couple of months and I'm working on it, so
This isn't, my frustration isn't meant.
I understand, but I'm hoping to get a better system in place
I don't care.
and stop the arguments.
I don't care if guys' word, we're hopeful. I don't want to be hopeful. I want to be paid for what we should be paid for.
Well, that's what I'm working on, is to have a bill that I can support 100%. And if they want to pay accountants to rifle through all of our invoices, they'll come up with nearly nothing, and they'll pay a lot of money to do it, and that'll be on them. But we should get our act together and have it exactly right, and then we can say, you got to pay it, and this is the supporting documentation.
Well, that last repair was pretty site-specific, right?
It was. There's no dispute there.
There's no issue with that one, is there?
So why can't we get paid for that?
That's not my issue. I don't know. I can't answer the question. And keep in mind, 2012 is when all the accounts were ripped out. It's been all these years, and they've been paying the bill, and all of a sudden, it's an issue. I don't know why, so.
What does the IMA say as far as shutting them off?
I don't see that addressed. And shutting them off, you're talking public safety, DEP, EPA, it's just
Not our
can't be
public
done.
safety, their public
I
safety.
understand. I don't believe there's a provision to shut them off.
That'll never happen.
Well,
I'll
I
tell you
just
what,
think it's,
for now, with Jimmy
How else
being
do you make
absent,
sure you get collected?
I have an idea, maybe we have to start with some kind of formal communication, requesting status.
I think Jim was doing that. I guess he got sick, but he was talking to the board. The boards are going to meet. Jim was going to meet with their board, their sewer board. I think you're right.
Yeah,
I
we
think
want to
you're
be
right.
good neighbors, and since this is not a full board, I would like to table this until Jimmy and Sandy are here.
Well, I was just going to ask,
Like we could
what is the status for the 20th? Is
I think
town council still going to come?
As far as I know.
Well, just one more question for him.
Yeah. I have asked to tag along with Jim when he goes over there, but I'm not sure I think he fell ill before.
Jimmy's pretty confident, he's going to be here, so.
Yeah, I saw him earlier this week. He thought he was going to be here tonight, but I guess it was a little too much for him.
Hey, he sent me a text, he said, I'm not really up for it tonight. I could.
Well, he
but I'm
only
not."
just came home today.
Yeah, he said he was getting sprung today, and I figured he was 50% to come in. He was pretty excited, though.
So,
But
Donna, keep that on your hit list.
But as far as
it
the
is
last
mainly
heat,
on my hip.
Okay.
Tropiano
So
will
when-
be here
when we're-
next
when we're
next
all
meeting, and
All right,
town council was invited. Do you know the status?
I can ask.
Well, just that, the thing is to give him these questions in advance so we don't hit him out of the blue.
Okay.
And the questions were the sump pumps, the home's not connected, and now born, and the IMA.
And Ellis, can you just give us some kind of assurance that it's from July 1, the new year, it's going to be, the county's going to be right?
I'm going to push very hard for that. So I check all of the invoices.
Yeah.
Guy checks all the invoices. If I have a question, I go back to him. If he's not sure, I go out to Brian or whoever bought it and ask, where did this thing go? And that will tell us if it's IMA or not.
Right, and it's all lumped in now. There's really not a
It's
good
just,
way to.
right, there's no IMA, non-IMA accounts in our VADAR system. So without going through every invoice and then trying to remember, well, did this set of parts go into one of their pump stations or one of our shared pump stations or one of our exclusive pump stations? So you might be able to tell. It might be written on it, it might not, but
the formula was designed to break it down, but obviously they had a chart of accounts with the formula. The town of Wareham got rid of the chart accounts years ago, but we followed the formula. And what it did is at the end of the year, the person doing the IMA, and this past few years has been Lee, would have to go in there and break all these numbers
have
out
to
and plug
break
them
them
in. That's all. So that's how we've been doing it, and it's,
Is there, I don't know what you're looking at, but is there any way to separate that part of the system that participates in the IMA from our...
Just direct expenses. I'm hoping to do direct expenses, but labor, you couldn't. We have guys that work over there, and then they work over here, and then over there, and then in the plant, all in one day.
So their time card just reads hours?
There's
no activity?
No, we don't have,
No job number for that part of the system
no.
versus what
See,
is
that's what they
solely...
need.
No, we use paper timesheets.
Is that kind of what you're looking at, or is it too complicated?
That's not going to fly. We use paper timesheets, and then the town accountant types in the hours. It's antiquated. We don't have a time system on your phone where you could put in a job. I've seen these before. I've used them in public accounting where I spend 2 hours doing this and 4 hours doing that, but we don't have anything like
All
that.
that repair and maintenance, can you equate it to a cost per gallon?
what I suggest, we just do cost per gallon. And so we bill them,
And
we pay so
whatever
much
their
per gallon,
portion
whatever
of
the
that
gallons is, we're
gallon
done.
Yeah,
Yes, I
that would
agree.
be a modernization of the IMA.
I believe it's the way to go.
Right now, it's more that they almost own a share. They don't have any representation, of course,
Yep.
but they almost own a share. They pay a capital amount of $188,000 for the 2004-5 upgrade of the plant. And then they pay
That's
based,
earmarked, though. We know where that's supposed to go.
yeah, that goes toward our debt. So, I mean, to change it to they're strictly a customer might be something that would take a lot of pressure off everyone. It's just whatever it is, 3 cents a gallon, 5 cents a gallon, I don't know what's appropriate, and be done with it. And then we just need a proper tool measuring whatever measures the stuff to say this many gallons came through, whether it's current.
That's probably the easy part, right, Guy?
I believe the gallons are recorded.
Yeah.
But the backside of the IMA is that we're supposed to get reports. We don't know if that meter's ever been calibrated, and we bill off that meter. We don't know what, and I've asked for numerous times for calibration reports, still haven't gotten one, so
What does a meter
3
cost?
years, that I know of.
they just refuse to do it. So
Where's the meter guy? Down at that?
it's in Bourne. It's in Bourne at their fire station. Their pump station's behind the fire station. It's their meter. Same thing with the Hideaway. It's their meter, and the IMA states that they
Put it on
would,
our end of the pipe.
I suppose we could. I'd have to, the IMA says that it's in there, and they calibrate it. I've asked many times, so,
Put one on our end.
so the numbers may be wrong. They can argue all they want about our numbers, but we don't know what we're billing them because there's no accuracy. None. No justified accuracy.
That only gives us the gallons, that doesn't give us the corrosiveness.
No, the corrosion's a whole different ballgame, because that's another whole issue.
Where they come into us, put your own meter on there.
Because if we put a meter at our pump station, because their line comes across the bridge into a manhole, we can meter it, and then we'll know what the gallons are. We'll calibrate out, because we calibrate the plant every year. We have to calibrate. That's just the way it is. That's the rule.
Cut it into the pipe.
Meters aren't cheap, because if it's a gravity meter, the force main, we can grab the force main easier and usually grab at the head because you push it off the pump, but I'm sure we can do it at the back end. I'm sure. I don't know the cost. Let me look into the cost. I don't want to commit. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there because meters are,
Would you look into it?
I will. I'll look
Look into
at it now. I will, absolutely.
Just goes up my craw.
That'll give you a basis, however they decide maybe they can meter it.
Well, if it's
There
bad
might-
news, I'll be able to explain it to you, and if I can get it to be fair, and they're reasonable people, they're not trying to steal from us, we're not trying to steal from them. We just have to get a proper accounting system and a proper method to say, well, they say you guys' stuff is corroding, we say their stuff's corroding. I don't know the system there, but
So, Don, are you okay with that? We'll wait for Jimmy, definitely, and
Oh,
Sandy.
yeah, I don't have a problem to wait for them. I mean, I've been waiting for 4 years now.
Yeah,
Why-
well,
what's
no, and
another-
we'll
what's
decide on a
another week?
civil way to say, hey, what are we gonna do with that bill?
their expenses have gone up more than ours. I looked back a ways, and it looks like our expenses over whatever 10 years went up 50%, and their bills went up close to 100. So does that mean we were underbilling them before, or we're over? I don't know.
Okay.
But those are the questions I have. I don't have much information from them, like how many customers they have and what's our bill per customer? Is it $300 or $400? Is it something reasonable, or are we trying to bill them only $50 a customer, which would be not reasonable on our part? I mean, just those reasonableness checks, so I can sort of get my arms around, is this fair, is it not fair? What, well,
That's all I'm looking for, fairness. That's all I'm looking for.
We
I'm
don't
not
know how
looking
many units,
I don't. I've
The
asked
pumping
the
house?
question of Abrams, and he didn't know. And again, when I tried to get over there, I've been told, well, there's things going on, and we'll move it along a little more
get
before
an
we bring you
idea how
in.
many there's, and figure it out according to the EDU rate.
Yeah, well, if you get the gallonage, you can use Title V and
Yeah.
put a number at it, see where it hits.
You could do it per capita, and that's why we put flow meters, and that's why we agreed to them and their maintenance of them, so that number we will never get. And corrosion, we put meters in, we monitor the H2S, and we see it, we showed it to them, the H2S is real, it's not a made-up number, the corrosion is real, it's all scientific and documented, there's no arbitration there, it is what it is.
And I think there's pH levels they're supposed to stick within in the IMA. It is in
They just-
writing.
They just don't meet them, they just, I mean,
But
same
without
thing
a
with
financial-
BOD, we've never, BOD is higher than we've accepted, we've never surcharged them because we want to be good neighbors, so the things that we do, we think in good faith, in this whole process, we believe that we want them to be equally in good faith, so they're complaining about things, and they're ignoring things that would make it more equitable for all of us, so it's just kind of a convoluted situation.
I
It
didn't
bothers
see
me.
a penalty schedule in the IMA for
It
high
is.
pH or low pH.
It's there,
Maybe
Yep.
it is, I'll look again, but
yeah, it's
I
definitely there.
didn't see $1,000 per day or something, whatever it is.
There's a fine in the back where all the appendix are, there's fines, and they wrote the IMA, they set the standard, and I get about the chart of accounts. And maybe the accounting never should have taken them out. I'm not gonna go there, I understand where they're coming from. But the time to break those numbers out has been done. It's just time consuming. An IMA that should take a couple days takes a few weeks, because all the numbers have to be broken out.
All right, I've ranted enough.
Well, we'll bring it up again, when we're all together, all right?
But see what you can get for a cost of a meter.
I will.
Yeah,
And would it behoove us to have it read independently?
It wouldn't hurt, because now there's no
Then there'll be no argument.
argument. Absolutely.
And then ask the same independent person to read theirs if they'll agree to it.
Okay.
One other question. What's this bill from Woods Hole for $5,000 back in February?
That came back a little less. That was testing for the outfall pipe. It was testing to check how much nitrogen the canal could take, if I remember right.
So what it is we had to have a baseline. So to move the outfall, we had Woods Hole Institute do a study that says it can take 10 million gallons at 3 ppm of nitrogen with no impact. So what's the base? So this testing, they went out to the bay. We have a buoy at the Cape Cod Canal drawbridge, a buoy at Mass Maritime, a buoy on the entrance to Butler Cove, an entrance to Onset Bay Cove, one against the piers, and we go out there and check each day. We did it, actually I said once a week. We tested for ammonia. We pulled seagrass for ammonia, for nitrogen, for nutrients, and some other things. And so that's going to be recorded as the baseline. That's the present condition of that system.
They're doing it,
It's already done.
but
I remember that.
Woods
it's
Hole's
all done.
doing
that's
it.
what it's a bill for.
Yes.
For them to do that.
That's right, it's all done.
I'm waiting for an invoice for that one, but
I remember how rosy that was when,
Well, I got
that
to,
meeting, I was there.
I got to tell you, it was a great meeting. I got to tell you, that the whole process was fascinating, and the science is just amazes me.
I just can't imagine them holding that tank and dumping it all at once. That must have been quite a sight.
It was amazing. I tell you, for me, I was excited, doesn't take much to get me excited. Even the boat ride was good, doing the testing was good. I was amazing at the current, because we had to drop something in to collect the water sample, and it was gone. And we had to stay at a certain elevation, at a certain distance, and just holding it. I mean, it just fascinated me. It was
You
really,
happened to see my Quahog bucket, did you?
I did not. I did not.
That's all you have then, Ellis, for tonight?
yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Unfinished business.
All of those things are on the agenda for next week, right?
Yeah.
Well, the sump pumps in the homes not connected to sewer, definitely on the agenda next time. Stone Path update, Guy?
I have nothing. All I do know is that we add an EDU because there's a lot of functions, so we're treated as a function hall as well as a manufacturer, so we add an EDU for functions. Other than that, so they're wrapping up, and I think I said this last week, so they're actually at the very end. We're at the final stage now is to get what they gave us for projected flow at build-out, and the engineers are taking that number into the present data they have for the Kendrick Pump Station and the flow coming to it. And that'll wrap out to the impact from what they're projecting for this factory part. We haven't even added in the flow from the events, because there's a lot of people there, there's bathrooms, all that, that's not even accounted for. So that flow comes to us at no consideration. So that's why we add the EDU for the function hall, because that has to be considered.
Are they processing this stuff now, or?
I would suggest, I've got to tell you, I've got a sample out there, I'm sampling at the wet well. And what we're getting is crazy. We're getting a lot of cloudy stuff, a lot of solids, and we're trying to analyze it. So we believe they are, and we believe we're getting a lot of solids. We believe we're getting a lot of BOD. BOD has been up as 1,200 parts per million in that wet well. So we believe all that's happening, but I have no verification of it.
But I don't believe there's any change on item 4.
Once we get the total analysis and they're done, then I'll have more answers. Then we'll send them a letter as to what our analysis says and what we suggest that they would do to meet the, because that wet well it's tiny.
Any new business tonight?
Nothing.
Nothing, other than we hope Jimmy's feeling all right.
We do.
Absolutely. I'm sure he drove everybody crazy when he was in the hospital, and then I'm sure he gave everybody, drove them all crazy.
I
That's
know.
just Jim. You know that. You know that.
He's in bigger trouble now than he was when he
Well,
was
yeah.
a certificate. So am I.
He can't get away with it now.
That next meeting date and time would be June 20th,
Yeah, that's gonna be,
6:30. The other place, correct? Room 27?
I believe so. And I believe in here there's well, it doesn't address that, I'm sorry. I thought we put meeting minutes. No, that's for discussion. In the back, you have meeting dates for them. I think Jim's going to set it up so y'all can see what's available. But I believe next meeting's in 27.
I did see,
Colleen
the
sent something.
school thing. Now, room 27, because it says tonight's meeting is in room in 27.
It did say that, because I did a
It says
double
room
take.
27, and I did too, and I'm like,
No, we're in the wrong place.
Well, I looked for Peter's truck, and I looked
Yeah,
for your truck.
I came here.
I
Oh,
went,
gee, because I hope we're not in trouble.
did I read that right?
well, I walked in with Bob, and I says, is
There's
the
nobody
meeting-
here. Why
is the
would-
meeting upstairs here? And he said, yeah, and I said, well, 'cause I thought it said room 27, and that's over the other place, right?
It's at the town hall.
The town hall. Okay.
I came here because there was no school committee meeting, so I said, well, and obviously we rotate, no school committee, so this is where it is.
Okay.
Oof, jeepers.
But next week, it's going to be at the town hall. I mean, the 27th, it's going to be at the 20th.
Room 27, is to my understanding. I'll have Colleen verify that and get it out to you, just to be sure.
Make sure that's
Yeah.
clear, please.
I will.
You're up, Donna.
You're up, Donna.
I make a motion that we adjourned.
Go Bruins.
Second.
Yes, go
Absolutely.
Bruins.
Aye, aye.